we have next session, scientific conducts. ಈಗಿನ ಆರ್ ಪಿ ಆಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಶ್ರೀಧರ್, ಅಡ್ಜಸೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್, ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಬಯೋಸೈನ್ಸ್, ಮ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ, ಮಂಗಳ ಗಂಗೋತ್ರಿ. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಸರ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್. I request Lami Madam to give the rules to our resource person. A warm welcome to you, sir. ಈಗ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಆರ್ ಪಿ ಆಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಶ್ರೀಧರ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರನ್ನು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಪರಿಚಯವನ್ನು ನೀಡುವುದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಚೈತ್ರ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಇಯರ್ ಎಮ್.ಎಡ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್, ಅವರನ್ನು ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to me to introduce our resource person today, who is giving the talk on scientific conduct, basic approaches and strategies to draft research article. Dr. K.R. Sridhar is an adjunct professor in the Department of Bioscience, Mangalore University, served over 40 years and currently serving as an adjunct professor. He has guided 5 MPhil and 25 PhD students on the topic of mycology, bacteriology, food science and myriapodology. His main area of research is diversity and ecology of freshwater fungi of Western Ghats and mangrove marine habitats of the west coast of India. He has edited 2 books and co-edited 7 books. Sridhar sir was an NSERC postdoctoral fellow, visiting professor in the collaboration with Professor Felix, Mount Ellinson University, Canada, and carried out research in biochemistry, ecology and molecular biology of freshwater hypothesis. He worked on the freshwater fungi of heavy metal hyperpolluted water bodies as visiting scientist at Helmholtz Center of Environmental Research, UFZ, and Martin Luther University, Halle, Germany. He was visiting scientist at the Center of Biology, University of Minho, Braga, Portugal. He was awarded the Somme Memorial Award 2004, Vice President 2013, President 2018 and Lifetime Achievement Award 2019 by Microbiological Society of India. He was awarded Fellow of Indian Microbiological Society, Kolkata 2014. Asian Microbiological Society has conferred him as a Distinguished Asian Mycologist 2015. Association of Agricultural Technology of Southeast Asian, Thailand award him Outstanding Leader in Education and Research 2016. His contribution for the last 41 years left him to be a top 2% of world scientists in the field of mycology by the survey of Stanford University, USA in 2020 based on the Google Scholar citations. Analysis of Albert Dogger's scientific index in 2021 placed him at 805 position in the India with a specialization of mycology and food science and technology based on Google Scholar citations. In his editor-in-chief of the e-newsletter Green Horizon of Enapoya, deemed to be University, Mangalore, he has over 490 research publications by national and international publishers. He is so humble that he is told to brief down his accomplishments, and he is very eager to give the session to us. So I welcome you, sir, to give the session. Please take over the sessions. Thank you.
Thank you for nice introduction. So I myself told her not to drag too much about the introduction because I am from the same campus. Yeah, live. I am from the same campus and stayed here for almost more than 45 years. Somewhere 75 I came to this campus as a student of Department of Biosciences. And then like that I continued somehow in the same place. And still I am after my superannuation, I have continued my research and also teaching, a little bit of teaching, but not too much like the regular teaching, but I have some occasionally I have to give special lectures of various aspects like that. To just give you a general idea, I gave this lecture about 1 month ago in the Department of Biosciences. I don't know whether anybody is in this group. It may be redundant for those who are in the department Biosciences. December 18th I gave the lecture. It is almost a month ago, but it was without PPT. So this time I have a PPT and wanted to just give you some general idea about the topic I have chosen is basic approaches and strategies to draft the research articles. This is very important for a researcher to start working on, and also they are eager to publish their work based on various findings they have, and then it has to be published in a good journal with some impact factor or without impact factor, whatever may be the situation. And there are some strategies. What are the basic approaches? How to go ahead with the basic approaches. When you do some work, if you have substantial work, either data collection or experimental work, field work, all such things. So when you accumulate certain quantity of work, information, that has to be written in the form of a research paper or research article or a note or whatever. So one has to follow some strategies. So what are the strategies to be followed, and also what are the approaches one can think of? Yeah. So the first and foremost thing one has to employ is the hypothesis. What hypothesis we have in our mind? So you have to do this before you start writing a research article. So the hypothesis is very important. Your guide may not directly guide you how to hypothesize an issue, a particular aspect. So hypothesis is very, very important. So you have to hypothesize, why I am here and what I have to do, how it has to be done, why it has to be done, what has to be done, all these things, all these questions will arise. Therefore, you have to develop a sort of hypothesis. So I am here to work on a particular topic, and this topic has some value of this kind, and these are all the gaps in our knowledge on this particular hypothesis. Then I am going to work on that. That is what one can assume. General way of think like. But many occasions what happens, students they consider themselves and there is no clear-cut guidance for a student sometimes, not always. Because if you ask a guide, so I want to do some research on a particular topic. So what they do? So you take some thesis available. Your seniors have done a lot of work. You take that thesis and work like that. So that is not the correct answer. So you have to identify a topic. What topic has to be identified and what hypothesis you are working on. So these are all some of the interesting points one has to think of. And then you have to start your work like that. Or you have to collect information on a particular line. Then you have to hypothesize. So with regard to hypothesis, so maybe it is experimental. So I am extremely sorry. I am with a science background. I don't know how many students, how many of you are with science background. I apologize for this because I don't have any idea about the arts and commerce faculty and such type of information, but nevertheless it is a general point of view for anybody for that matter, any faculty, any department or any discipline, one can think of writing this. So experimental. So we are all, so with science, we have labs and we have to do some experiments, certain set of experiments. So experimental results will be obtained and then we have to interpret the results, all such things will happen. Sometimes literature based. So you may want to write a review of literature. So review of literature, you need not necessarily to depend on laboratory. So you have to collect the information on a particular aspect. So when you collect the information, excuse me, so when you collect the literature, so with regard to collection of literature also you have to put lot of effort. So on what aspect you are going to collect the literature? What aspect you want to collect the literature? So that is important. Unless you know the specific topic, you cannot simply collect the literature. You have to collect the literature and based on the literature, you have to write an article. So that it is not experimental, it is collection of information and you want to write an article based on the literature. So third one is traditional knowledge. So we have plenty of traditional knowledge. India is having lots and lots of traditional knowledge and or the ethnic knowledge or the traditional knowledge, and based on this ethnic knowledge what we have, you can collect the data and work like that. So these are all related to hypothesis. You can hypothesize. So I want to work on particular aspect, particular topic based on the ethnic knowledge. Ethnic knowledge is the traditionally people are following and it has some value in the society. So in that context, I have written as traditional or ethnic knowledge. Then you think of documentation. So you want to collect information. Let us assume that you are going to look into the agrarian population and see what type of agriculture they are performing, what measures they are taking and what innovative ideas they have, whether they use pesticides or insecticides. So these are all related to documentation. So simply you are to document it. From the documentation, somebody else will be using that document or you yourself may use the document. Then historical basis. What is the historical basis? So if you ask me history of this campus, I will give you history of this campus from 1975 onwards. 1975 and from 75 to 2022 I can give the history. But before that it has started somewhere in 1969. I don't know about 1969 to 1975 what happened like that. So those are all. So that's so historical basis is also very important. So historical basis what happened earlier, how it has changed like that. So earlier there was no this projector, something like that. Now we used to write on the board and there was overhead projector. It has come into picture. Afterwards we got the direct projector. Like that it has changed. So now new innovations. So see, youngsters will have a lot of innovative ideas. So sometimes they may feel that so if I disclose this idea, my guide may not like this, like that. So don't have such type of shyness. So it is better you express your views and express your ideas. So if you are a researcher, you have a guide, you are the researcher and there is 50-50 responsibility will be there. It is you have 50% of responsibility to do the experiment and discuss with them, and guide has 50% responsibility to evaluate your work, direct you what has to be done also. So then that's how new innovations and new hypotheses one has to develop. It will come into picture. So you have while you are studying in high school or if you are studying in pre-university or in BSc, you may have some idea. I want to do this based on the teachers what you get taught. You may think that I have to do research on this topic. This is very important area. Like that. You may have conceived some ideas at that time. So is it possible for you to do that? Sometimes the situation may not allow you to do that, but there is nothing wrong in expressing, no, I want to do on this topic, is it feasible like that? So feasibility is also very important. If it is not feasible, what are the alternatives? You have 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So that type of new hypothesis one can think of. And methodology. What methodology you are going to adapt? So if I am here, I want to collect information from Bangalore, or I want to collect information from New Delhi. Sometimes you cannot go over there physically and collect the information. So that difficulties will be there. Therefore, it is better what methodology you are going to adapt, and it should be eco-friendly like that. Methodology. So why I am writing this methodology? Because in scientific conduct, in scientific work, so there are a lot of methodology can be applied. So this methodology, it should be eco-friendly. So you are going to use some chemicals in the laboratory. That chemicals should not spoil the environment. So in that context, I have written methodology should be eco-friendly. It should not generate lot of effluents or lot of waste material that is affecting the soil or atmosphere or the water like that. Then if anyone start working on nutrition, health and environment, of course education is also very, very important. I don't say no, education is not important. See, nutrition, health and environment. So any research aspect pertain to human nutrition or animal nutrition or health and environment is going to get more premium, because our environment is very important for us to keep our health and also to fetch our nutrients. In that context, one can hypothesize on those issues. And what is new in that? So research, the title itself says research. You are again and again you are looking for various aspects, various new things. So what is new? So am I repeating the same thing, or am I innovating a new aspect? Is pertinent. Now, what are the types of research articles? There are various types of research articles. I am sure you have already exposed for these things. You may have already might have taken a review and read this. You might have something else, research a note or a short information or communication like that. So these are all various types of research papers, research articles. One is research paper, a typical research paper. In science, it starts with title, then address of the author, then comes abstract, then keywords, okay, then introduction, materials and methods, results, discussion, acknowledgements, funding agency like that, then references. Like that, this is a typical way of writing a research article. So if you think of a review may not have materials and methods, or you might have collected information. That is the way you have collected. But you can write a review based on different subheadings you have to develop. So you have to give a sort of introduction for that. But many reviews will have an abstract. So what has been discussed in this review will be in a short abstract will be there. But subsequently there will be an introduction. After introduction, the material will be sorted out in different subsections. Under that subsection, you are going to deal with it. All those things you have to do it. You have to follow a research review somebody has written, and how we can, according to your interest and your topic, you have to prioritize it. So there you can come to know. So when a student, we are all trained like this. So if I want to approach a guide, so guide used to say, Sridhar, it is better you write a review on this, like that. See, no guide will say like that, because it is very essential for a student. So to start to understand the depth of a subject or a topic of your interest, so you have to make a review of literature. Review of literature means you are collecting the literature, and that literature, what is there in that literature has to be systematically written by putting in subheadings like that. So you are the master there. You have to do everything like that. So by that, you know what are the gaps in our knowledge with regard to this review. With particular hypothesis or particular aspect, what are the gaps in our knowledge? What has not been worked out? What has been worked out? what has been worked out extensively, what has been worked out very less, what has been worked out moderately. These are all things. By that, it will guide you what are all the gaps and what are all the parts where not work much. Therefore, you can select that one. So that is your aim, to look for the one which is not available. So reviews are going to help you. So research account. So there is one other type of research article, that is, for example, I have worked here for about 40 to 45 years. So what did I do? I have worked on nutrition, and I have worked on fungi. I have worked on myriapodology. Myriapodology means, that millipedes. In Tulu it is referred as cherente, like that. Some students have worked on that. So various fields, because I am a bioscientist, biologist, I worked on animals, I worked on microorganisms, I worked on plants, like that. Therefore, if I want to consolidate my work, what work I have carried out on plants, so that is research account. What has been worked for the last 40 years, that is going to available in a nutshell. That is referred as research account. What I have worked on fungi for the last 40 years in a nutshell is going to be a research account. Like that. So next one is book chapter. So what is book chapter? I am sure you have already studied some of the books like that. Some of the edited books. So book chapter means you have to write a book, you have to write a chapter for a book. So book has a theme, it has a hypothesis, it has a theme. To that theme, what work you have carried out is available, and that you have to modify your work into a book chapter. So there is a lot of difference between a research paper and a book chapter. So if I write a book chapter, a person with background of physics, with a background of chemistry, with a background of commerce, with background of material science should follow that easily. But research paper is highly technical, because you are technically sound and you are going to produce that paper. But if it is a book chapter, a person who is going to read that should understand it in general way. But if it is, one person may not understand deep into that subject, but overall idea should give like that. So it is not very high level of writing, but it is going to disseminate the knowledge in the form of a book chapter. It is a chapter in a book, like that. So then the research communication, a short information, you are going to write as a research communication. So research communication will have some substance in it. So something glaring, something very important, that I am going to write. So I have written an article, of course I have written many, but one article I remember now. I used to go to Someshwara beach often and see a lot of plants and such things. So then one day I came and I went with my students. My students also used to take me, because we have a lot of work, we have worked a lot on Someshwara beach, coastal sand dunes. And then I asked them, see, why can't we take a note of what are the plants available here and what is the situation, what is the environmental condition of Someshwara beach, like that. So then when I came to library and looking something, then I coined a title, that is Coastal Sand Dunes, a Neglected Ecosystem. So the coastal sand dune have a lot of resources. So in terms of biology, in terms of fungi, in terms of plants, in terms of some of the plantations side, like that. So if you make a survey, you will get lot of information. But if you globally, if you look into that, so that area, the sand dunes, coastal sand dunes are neglected. Not very much work has been carried out. So therefore, it was my hypothesis, and then I wrote a small note to Current Science. So we get in the library. Current Science is a journal published from Indian Institute of Science. So that coastal sand dunes, a neglected ecosystem. So it has a lot of citations, because people see that title itself is catchy. So therefore, people are going to study that, and it will what is this? Coastal sand dunes not work much, like that. It give a sort of impact on you that this is an area where I can work on that. I can look into the animals, I can look into the plants, like that. So research communication, scientific correspondence, I think I published in scientific correspondence. Again, it is a sort of new information put in a short one, not like lengthy paper, lengthy chapter like. Then commentary. Commentary is another way of writing things like. So you are going to comment on a particular ಪ್ರಚಲಿತವಾದ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಬರೆಯುವಂಥದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಮೆಂಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು. ಸೊ ದಿ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಡೇ, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಡೇ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ pertain to a particular aspect. So you may write something on Mars. So there are a lot of research is going on Mars, but you may write a commentary on what type of scientific research is going on pertain to Mars in a very general way that others can follow. Like that. Those are all the comments. And opinion. So you have liberty to write your opinion like that. But please don't think that all journals are going to accept all sorts of these types of articles. But there are specific articles where there is scope for writing comments, writing opinion, and letter to editor. You can, I have written there somewhere, editorial and letter to editor like that. So if some article is published, so you have right to write, so this article is published and there are certain gaps in that, where I can fill it up like that. Are you ready to fill up? So if so, you can write something to the letter to editor. So in Nature, journal Nature from UK, they have letter to editor can be published. So one can write letter to editor. So depending on the topic what they have discussed. Like. So opinion and others, there are so many things. For example, editorial. So if you take a book in the library, normally what we do, we look into the page numbers and so on, so that chapter we want to take it and xerox it. But the first and foremost thing what we have to do is, if it is a good book, you have to read the preface. The preface is also very, very important, where they have discussed about why the person or the people edited that book has conceived that idea to write this book. It is not possible to instantaneously write a book, but you have conceived some idea, hypothesis, based on that you have written that article. Therefore, that is editorial is written. Editorial, so every journal will have an editorial, every journal, every issue will have an editorial. Editorial means it is normally comment on what are the articles they published in that issue. And preface in the book, and also that is for the general public. So then I have written here is title and running head of the article. What is the title? See the title, what title you have to give. So you have information with you, everything in your hard disk here, or you may have written material, or you have data, everything. What title you have to give? So I have given title, Coastal Sand Dunes, a neglected ecosystem. Or somebody has written an article that, see something like fancy title, like the love song of fruit fly. Love song of fruit fly. So actually the Drosophila, it is an insect, it is something like our housefly, and it is going to select its mate based on the frequency of its wing vibration. So based on the frequency of wing vibration, it is going to select the male and male select female or female select male. Like that, there is no cross breeding between them. Like that. So the title what person has given is Love Song of Fruit Fly. But it is general public is going to, it is very interesting, Love Song of Fruit Fly. So there is something which is pertain to these insects, and there is some element of love like that. So these are referred as fancy titles. So can we give fancy titles for our research articles? Not always. Not always. But sometimes we may give. Sometimes we may give the title with fancy titles like that. And some of the titles with question mark. So if the title is question mark and exclamatory mark, that will be catchy for many people. So people are going to read this. So why atmospheric temperature is increasing day by day? Question mark. If you write the title with question mark, it is going to catch the attention of so many people. If you end up with exclamatory mark, it is going to catch the people. Like that is one of the ways we can attract people to the idea what you have, hypothesis what you have, and article what you are going to write, like that. Then, see, the title should be self-explanatory. See, it should not beat around the bush. See, Love Song of Fruit Fly, if I write, by a few sentences if you read, you can understand, okay, Drosophila insect is going to select its mate based on the buzz noise what it is going to produce, like that. So, it should be self-explanatory and it should have sufficient content in that. It should not be simply, you can not write 4 or 5 lines of heading. So, that is always confusing. So, it should be crisp and catchy. So, it should be self-explanatory. There should be some minimum number of words where it is going to depict what you have written in your article. Then, use of abbreviations. So, some titles will have some abbreviations. So, try to avoid that abbreviations are not good in the title. But expulsion of abbreviation is not also not good because it may be lengthy. So, therefore, you have to avoid the abbreviations in the title at least. But subsequently, you may use the abbreviations in the body of your article. Then, use of terms in parenthesis, in bracket, you may write something. So, try to avoid that. Try to avoid the material should be written in parenthesis in the title. If it is inevitable, okay, but try to avoid it. If it is inevitable, for example, history article, you are writing something like that, and from the year 1880 to 1920, that it is inevitable, you have to write, or hyphen, and you may write that year. Right. So then minimize the length of running head. What is running head? If you take a book, what happens? So you are going to open the book, and this is the odd page, next is the even page. So the title what you have given, they are going to make a short title as a running head. In the next page, in the even page, they are going to write a short title like that. So some of the journals, almost all the journals will have running head. Running head is nothing but the title, but is in a short form in the even page or in the odd page. First page they are not title is there. Second page they may put it, or third page they may put it. Sometimes the authors, for example, Sridhar et al., Sridhar and Pavitra, Sridhar KR and Pavitra, like that. So one page the author's name will be there, next page running head will be there. So that is meant by running head. So writing the running head is also responsibility of a person who is going to write the article. So I hope you understand what is this running head. In the books also, based on the running head, we are going to select the topic like that. Something like a keyword like that. So next one is abstract. So how to write the abstract? So we have already discussed about the title, and then running head, okay. Then the abstract come into picture. So how to write an abstract? So you cannot write the abstract immediately. The selection of title itself takes lot of time for you, okay. And then the abstract, you should write the abstract at the end of the completion of the article, or you may put certain points there, leave it like that. Then once you complete all the article, you can take some of the glaring points from that and put into abstract. Abstract is in a short form, somebody should understand that. So by looking into abstract, you can realize, oh, these are all the topics that is written, like that. So I have written certain points here. Graphical abstracts. Some journals require graphical abstracts. So the abstract, a few lines will be written with some pictures there. For example, nanoparticles. With regard to nanoparticles, they may write a picture. Or if I am working on Cherente, so the picture of that millipede can be given. Or if I work on fungus picture can be given. Like that, it is pictorial or graphical abstract with picture, like that. Some of them prefer it. It may not be necessary. It should be short and crisp. And they also mention how many lines you should write, how many characters should be there, not more than that. Like. Second one, highlights. They are not going to be interested in graphical abstract, but they are highlight point wise. You highlight 4 or 5 points with lines. The highlights before writing the abstract. Before writing the abstract, they are going to highlight it. So, therefore, abstract should be self-explanatory. Self-explanatory. So, it is not that introduction. You are not going to write something lengthy like that. It should be crisp. So, they insist that how many words should be there.Maybe 200, 250 words, 300 words like that. So, sometimes abstract may run one page, maybe 400, 500. But if the journal allows, otherwise you have to restrict to what should be precise points should be included like that. Avoid too much of data. See what happens in the abstract. So we have already got the result. Okay, this is significantly different, less than p is less than 0.05, p is less than 0. Those things you please avoid it, because you can write it. Avoid too much of data in that. So many number of species. So 32 species were obtained like that. It's okay. So try to avoid too much of data in that. Then hypothesis. See here, the abstract usually should consist of first or two sentences should give the idea. What idea made you to write this like that? So first or second sentence, at least maybe first sentence. Hypothesis, objective. What is your precise objective? In one sentence. In one sentence hypothesis, one sentence objective. In third one, methodology. What methodology you have used? What methodology? Have you used isotopes? Have you used morphological observation? Have you used some other methodology like that? That is going to give point. Next one is main results. What results you got it? What is the outcome of your work? So that is result. Okay, that also should be crisp. Then conclusion part. So it is not really conclusion of your article, but a sentence should conclude your abstract. So that is necessary. Then, so these are all the points should be remembered with regard to writing an abstract. One can draw some important findings. So this article is going to discuss the historical events from the year 1680 to 1720, something like that. Or it is going to give a sort of, with the historical perspective, you are going to write something, what war happened on such and such a time, and we are going to. So like that, there should be some concluding remarks in the last one or two sentences. That should fit into 250 or 300 or 500 words like that. Then keywords and abbreviation. Next, after abstract, you have to write the keywords. What keywords you have to think of? So very catchy words, because why keywords are very important for an article, because that will be indexed later. So if I am trying to use a keyword and I should get all those things like that, you have to write keywords. Keywords very important for that. So they very important for your article. What you have discussed and what are all the catchy words you can write there. That is known as keywords. And abbreviations. Sometimes you will use abbreviations also. Abbreviations can be separately written, not in the keyword. You cannot write abbreviation in the keyword. Keywords are a specific one or two words like that. For example, we are working on something on scrub jungle. So the jungle what we have is known as scrub jungle. So if I work on a scrub jungle, I can write scrub jungle as a keyword. It is a scrub jungle. Then I can write coastal region as another word. It is coastal region. And if I work on fungi, I can work on which group of fungi. Am I working on macrofungi or mushrooms? Am I working on microfungi? So therefore you can write mushrooms. So then if you are working on a tree, you can write the name of the tree. Okay, name of the tree. For example, we have Terminalia paniculata. You can write Terminalia paniculata can be written, or Terminalia can be written, at least genus name, like that. So these are all some of the things. If I work on coastal sand dunes, I can write coastal dunes, a keyword. And if I work on seaweeds, seaweed can be. But what the idea is, important ones has to be given, and it should not repeat the title. So in the title you have already given coastal sand dunes. In the title you have already given scrub jungle. That scrub jungle should not appear in the keyword again. You should not repeat the title, the words you have used in the title should not be repeated in the keywords. Did you got my point? So therefore by that the title also indexed, your keywords also indexed. Therefore you should not repeat it. Repetition is not good. Okay? Then style, what is the style? Are you going to arrange the keywords alphabetically or priority wise? Priority wise. What priority? So you have 5 keywords. First keyword, which one has to come first? Next one, like prioritize. Or sometimes it may be in the alphabetical order, depending on the journal style. Next comes the list of abbreviations. So sometimes what happens, it is not possible for us to write some, Professor Madegowda mentioned just now that, so Gadag, some factory name has been there, and by that the lot of similarity was observed, but they have abbreviated it. So abbreviation can be used if you use that term often. So therefore you can abbreviate. So if you have to use 100 times the same word, you can abbreviate it. You can make your own abbreviation, and hereafter this will be addressed like that. So if you put abbreviations, so some instruments like that, for example, scanning electron microscopy, SEM. Instead of writing every time scanning electron microscopy, you are going to abbreviate SEM like that. So these abbreviations, you expand it or abbreviate it and then give explanation in the after the keywords. Some of the journals need that list of abbreviation in the order, alphabetical order or random or priority like that. Then standard abbreviations. So there are some standard. For example, we are going to use UGC, University Grants Commission. You need not necessarily to expand it. But for some article you have to write University Grants Commission bracket UGC. Subsequently you can use UGC, right? Mangalore University, several times you have to repeat MU, Mangalore University bracket MU. Subsequently in MU like that. So this standard. Then keywords used often. That's what I mentioned. If you use UGC is often, you make it UGC instead of University Grants Commission. Or the World Health Organization, WHO. World Health Organization, you need not repeat several times. So you once you write it, put it in bracket, subsequently you can use it. Or you in the abstract, WHO is okay. It is a well-known keyword. Need not necessarily to be expanded too much like that. So WHO is okay like that. Then, for example, I have used the coastal sand dune. I have given that. See, I have made it CSD, coastal sand dunes. So if I write coastal sand dunes often, I can use only CSD like that. Then introduction. So I am taking a typical research paper, and what are all the components? First one is title, second one is the running head, third one is abstract, fourth one is keywords, fifth one is abbreviation. Sometimes they may, some journals may not require that, but in the running head you can write abbreviation, subsequently you can use abbreviation. Sometimes you have to list out the abbreviation like that. So next comes introduction. So what has to be written for the introduction? So you have a hypothesis in your mind, isn't it? What has to be written? So introduction. So I want to introduce this topic. How do you introduce the topic? So you have to work a lot. So I tell my students that say research is a verb. It is not noun. It is verb. Verb means it demands work, isn't it? You have to work in the laboratory. You have to work in the library. You have to listen to lectures. So that is the verb. If it is a noun, then you can take, oh, this is noun, this is predicate, this is noun, pronoun, predicate, all such things. You can do it without any effort. But if it is verb, it demands work. So therefore, how to introduce the topic? I have this hypothesis and I have to introduce it. To introduce that, you should have a literature survey. You would have done literature survey. and they have written. So you have, the idea is the topic what you have written in the title should be introduced through introduction. So first you have to write some literature aspect. So regarding particular aspect, so many people work like that, and there are so many components, all those things should come in the introductory part. And that needs a literature support. Unless you read the literature, you cannot write introduction. I cannot jump into introduction, I cannot jump into materials and methods immediately. I need to, literature support is required. Relevance of the topic. What is the relevance? What is the relevance of the topic? So, how it is relevant to the present day context. So, you are writing about the global warming. So, why should you work on global warming? What is the necessity and what work you have carried out and why global warming is important? That has to come into picture. Global warming is one of the features of climate change. Because of climate change, global warming is happening, and you have to write something on the global warming. So, what work has been carried out on global warming, and what are the ideas, and ultimately at the end of the introduction you have to write why you have worked on this, what are your objectives like. So that comes to the introduction, like connect information to the article what you are writing, not simply writing something. So if you write so many pages, nothing will, it is not good. So you have to be very methodical in writing the introduction. What is the length? So you cannot write 10-page introduction. Who will read that 10-page introduction? You have to give information in 1 or 2 pages. Sometimes allow, sometimes you may have to cut short. Because there, if you want to write 1 or 2 pages, you should be very clever to connect the information of the article, length, and objectives and aims. What is your objectives? So, okay, blah, 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 these things have been done, these things have been done, these things have been done, like that. What have you done? Ultimately, what is your aim and objective in context with the work that has been written in the introduction. So, therefore, there is a gap in the knowledge, there is a knowledge gap, therefore, I am carrying out, or we are carrying out, because 1 or 2 people will be there, the authors. I have forgotten to tell you the author's name and then title or their address also, affiliation also will be given. After title, author's name and their affiliation should come. Okay? So, we means, so we have carried out this research with an objective of so and so. I have carried out, a single person, I have carried out this aspect with intention, the following aims and objectives. Objective 1, 2, 3, 4 can be written like that. So, objectives and aims. What are the, what are you contemplating? What are you, why, see, you cannot write an article for fun. For a general article it is okay. You may write an article to Taranga, you may write article to Sudha, you may write an article to Udayavani. It is for the public purposes. But in a research article, what exactly you want to express your idea based on your work, like that. Will this fill the knowledge gap? Is it going to be useful for us? So, such and such a lacuna is there, such and such a gaps is there, therefore this work has been carried out. Next one, any hypothesis or so you are going to assume a particular thing. So, if I work on this is what we hypothesize this, we hypothesize. And we want to test the hypothesis whether this is right or wrong, whether it is moderate, whatever, like that. So, the hypothesis, at the end you are going to say this hypothesis has been proved based on the experimental result, or this hypothesis is not proved, it is defeated because the hypothesis is wrong, this hypothesis is not going to work, like that. So, that is how in the objectives, at the end of the introduction, you have to write about the hypothesis or your aim and objectives, and that has to be supported. Or if you have a hypothesis, this work has been carried out with the hypothesis and so to check whether it is right or wrong. Okay. Then comes the materials and methods. I am sorry, I think a lot of research scholars from science department are here. Is it true? Many people from science background, arts background, I don't think there is any type of materials and methods. So if you think of a material, see, I am working on this scrub jungle or in the campus. So what is the geographic location? What is its geographical location? I am working with Konaje like that. If somebody reads in Canada or USA, how can they understand it is I have worked on Konaje scrub jungle like that? So you have to give the geographic location. Sometimes you may have to give the map where which geographical location you have worked. So sometimes people are going to be very clever to give the Google map. So giving Google map is not really good. But okay, but sometimes, but not always. Then latitude, longitude. So 12 degree north, 74 east. So this is necessary. No, it is longitude, latitude is going to give you, but you need not necessarily to give degree and minutes and seconds. Seconds you need not worry because seconds is too precise. See the location where I am standing, it is going to give you the degree, minutes and seconds. The seconds is, so if it is going to trace Mangalore University, this area is okay, not necessary to give precise. But if you have done precision work, then you have to give that because in particular location the changes are taking place like that, where you have to give, like latitude, longitude, like date of sampling. When did you do this? So if I did about 10 years ago and now I am publishing, sometimes it may be still a lot of work has been carried out on such things. So therefore, documenting information on date of sampling is important. Quantitative and qualitative assessments. Whether you are going to work on quantitative aspects or qualitative aspects. So this much of quantity, this much of quality, this is the qualitative analysis like that. So modification of the methods, you may follow a method. So that method has been followed by somebody else, but you are going to follow that method. So, but what happens? You are going to modify that method for your purpose. Slight modification. You made what modification you have done should be explained. If you are following the method in toto, that's okay. If you are modifying it, then what modification you have done should be written there. By that, it is a credit for you because if you modify it for a particular purpose, and that modified method will be quoted by somebody else because so this if a general method is there, this method has been modified for this purpose, somebody else is going to use it. So what modifications you have done will be required. And sources of methods. So major source of method has to be quoted. Instrumentation. What instrument you have used? I have used a scanning electron microscopy. I have used an ordinary microscopy. I have used a bright field microscopy or stereo microscopy, or I have used Geldof apparatus. I have used Lowry's method. So there is a lot of instruments. There are some isotope, I have used gamma chamber, I have used electron beam irradiation. These are all some of the instruments. So what instrumentation, what is its make? Precision, what is its make? So what is its, see, is it obtained from Japan or from USA or from Russia or from Hungary? So that name, that every instrument will have a badge. So the name of the instrument and the make and the place from where it has been produced. So precision and schematic representation. I will tell you what is schematic representation. And subdivisions. So in the methodology you are going to subdivide. So one after the other in a sequential manner. So you cannot write something in the first. So you may write, while writing is okay, but you have to prioritize what has to come first. So there are so many methods you have followed. 5 methods you followed. Which method you are going to explain first? So is it necessary to explain fully or simply you quote the main reference? Or modified method you have to explain like that. Then subdivisions and data analysis. So why did you do the data analysis? You have the data, whether you are going to use statistics like that. And data has to be analyzed. So you have to take the average, mean, sometimes sum of that can be taken. All this analysis like. So I have so many species I have observed. Out of so many species which is very common. Like that some analysis, some data analysis should be done. Next thing is, this is what I mentioned, schematic representation. Sometimes writing methodology in a lengthy way is sometimes difficult. So instead what you do is, you can put it in a very crisp manner. So isolation, processing and assessment of so and so. So this is the media used. So this is the lyophilized and then sonication. This is what I have done. This is what you can call the graphic, this method of you are going to give in a schematic representation. So this is another one, dry mushroom, residue, supernatant residue, supernatant taken, further it has been analyzed. So this is how it has, so that is going to be more catchy. Next one, results. So the results, see when you do a scientific experiment, you should not be biased. You should accept the result blindly, without anything, whatever results you got, you accept it at the moment. Afterwards you may change it based on the literature like that, but you have to accept the result first. So this is your work, this is your result, you have to accept it. Next one is sequence it. So in the results, what are all the different sequences? Whether the information results should be put in tables or in figures, anyone. Don't put only tables and figures both, not necessary. Which is more appealing? Table is good. Oh, we can write a table. No, table is not good. We can write a figure. Figure is good. Okay. So either figure or table, not both. So by that it will be redundant. Then comes statistics. What statistics you have followed? So some people what they do, they know statistics. Their thesis will be full of statistics only. So you are not a statistics. It is not a statistics thesis. So if it is statistics, you have to write all those things. But what is pertinent, what is pertinent to your data, your result has to be analyzed statistically. Therefore, it is, don't put too much of statistics. Too much is too bad. Then relevant statistics will be done. Then interpretation of results. How do you interpret? So somebody has worked on that, somebody has worked here, and that is here, it is different, geographically different. All such things you can interpret. Depiction. How do you depict? How do you forecast? How do you think about it? Then if the result is patentable, you are getting a very good result. So it is patentable. You go for patenting. No problem. So when you go for patenting, so whether you are going for process patent or product patent. So by the experiment what you have done, you got a product. This product is novel. So patenting, it has its own values like that. So if you say it can be patentable, it has to follow some norms. It should be novel, unique, all such things. So either product is important or method you have followed is important. That's why I mentioned methodology. You may develop a new method, a non-friendly method that can be patented. You can patent the method as well as process. Sometimes only process, not that is the method, not the product. Sometimes only product, not the method, like that. So you think of that because your work may be precious. You should think about it. Then what do you disclose, what you should not disclose? If you want to patent it, you cannot disclose all those things. You have to think about it. You have to see that certain things can be disclosed, not all. If you disclose everything, you cannot patent it. So the patent means you have to pay royalty for that, and the institution should get the name for that, and somebody should buy that patent and then they use it. For that you will get economically, you are going to be not individual or institution, it will be given like that. So in that context, your result is very important and analysis is important. Next comes the tables. So how to represent the information in the form of table. So if you write a table, nama e table alla, table alla. So if you write a scientific table, it should be self-explanatory. It should not be too lengthy. Okay? Of course, sometimes it may be too lengthy. Self-explanatory. Title of the table should be self-explanatory. So you need not necessarily to beat from the bush. So table title they have given and you have to go for the text. What is the table? What is the table is going to depict, like that. So title table self-explanatory. Sample size. So n is equal to how many? So you have used 100 people have been interviewed. N is equal to 100. You have to write that. N is equal to 100, mean plus or minus SD. N is equal to 5, mean plus or minus SD, standard deviation or standard error. See, the sample size has to be given, otherwise it is of no use. So you have 1,000 people you have evaluated. So n is equal to 1,000, like that. So your errors will be less if you have more number of evaluations. So then footnotes. Sometimes you have to write the footnotes. See, footnote again, you are abbreviating something in that table. For that, for example, below detectable level, BDL, below detectable level. Your instrument cannot detect that low quantity. Therefore, it is below detectable level, BDL. Here you have to give an asterisk and write below detectable limit, below detectable level. That's how you can think of footnotes. Then statistics. What strategy you use? I've used t-test. Again, whether you have parent t-test, student t-test, or whether you mentioning standard deviation or standard error, or you are using ANOVA or using chi-square. These are all statistical packages like that. So these things have to be very clearly mentioned. Two lengthy tables. Sometimes you can write the two lengthy table that you can put it in the web. Journal web will be there, and give a information there. The lengthy table can be retrieved whenever necessary. If I am reading, there will be some website will be there. If I want details of the table, can be obtained, because you cannot publish everything in the hard copy or in the soft copy also. Therefore, so if it is too lengthy, it can be like that. So figures and videos. So type of figure. What type of figure you are going to represent? So I can take a picture of this audience and put it. So is it okay for my work? Like that. So that's how either the photograph or the bar diagram or pie diagram or line diagram, which one is suitable? Accordingly you have to do. So you may go for pie diagram as well as you can go for bar diagram. You may go for line diagram. So which is suitable has to be thought of. So which has maximum clarity? So if there is no clarity, you don't represent the same figure in pie diagram, line diagram and bar diagram. Not necessary. Only one. Which one has more clarity? Then figure legend. So like the table caption, figure legend should be self-explanatory. It should have all the information. So you see, for example, I am writing coastal sand dunes like that. Coastal sand dunes of Someshwar, I need not necessarily the very time like that. So in the these are the organisms of time are from so and so like that. But the title is going to speak, but it should be self-explanatory. So whether standard deviation is used or standard error is used, and what is ABCD? What is ABCD? You get this like that. Then see behavior or habitat. Sometimes what happens? Some behavior, for example, Cherente, how this millipede is going to move 1 meter distance, and how many times it is going to tap its antenna to because it is blind. It has to understand the situation by tapping its antenna to the floor. By that it can understand. It has no ears. Even eyes also not good. By that it has to tap its antenna. By that it will understand the nature of floor and it will move like that. So if you make a video of that, or a bird is flying, a bird is fluttering, it is shaking its wing in a specific way, or the bird is going to make a voice of a particular one, that can be, you can make a video. If it is very strange and interesting, that video can be put in website like that. So there is provision for such things. Okay. Then discussion comes. So I think I have another 10 minutes time. Okay. So discussion, results and discussion. Sometimes you may put results and discussion together. Sometimes you may separate results and discussion. So if it is together, results and discussion, it is excellent, because you are going to write your results first and then you are going to discuss about the topic. Right. So prioritize the issue. If you want to write the results and discussion, you can prioritize what result. See, you have a priority wise arrangement in the methodology. So same priority you can follow in the results also. Instead of writing something different here. So prioritize which one should come first, which one. You have already experienced with the methodology. Same methodology sequence you can follow with regard to the results and discussion. So sequence the methods and results, results followed by discussion. If it is results and discussion together, you first take the first point, write something about what the results you got it, and this result, is it corroborating with the earlier work what others have carried out, or you are going to interpret something different. It is deviating from them because of this reason. So the reasoning has to be given in the discussion. So please remember that results is different, discussion is different. So you are going to write your result and you are going to compare your result with others, and that is what you are going to compare, and what you are going to decide is the discussion part. So that's how you have to write the discussion sequence, results followed by discussion. Similar to other studies. Is it similar or dissimilar? It is dissimilar. Why it is dissimilar? Why? If it is similar, why it is similar? So you are going to see, science has no double standards. Science needs evidence. And if you do some experiment in India and if you do experiment in California, it should be same, not be different, except in some circumstances. So geographical circumstances are different, but if you think of chemistry or physics, sometimes biology, not all biological aspect, some of the biological aspect. If you do it here in California, should be same, it should not be different. But certain features differs because of geographical condition. Therefore, similar the other study or deviation are different. Whether it deviates or different. Why it is differing? Why it is deviating? No, it is, see, in Madikeri, the water is going to boil at 98 degrees Celsius. But in Konaje, it is going to boil only at 100 degrees Celsius. The reason is the high altitude. High altitude, therefore 2 degrees less it is going to boil. Okay, and certain things are going to change, even in physics and chemistry also. So therefore geographical conditions are so different. Hypothesis is successful or failure. I have already mentioned. So you have hypothesized in your introduction. So we are going to hypothesize so and so like that. But it is successful, you have to write why it is successful, how it is so, what are all the information. Somebody is useful. And failure, it is a failure. The hypothesis is failure, and probably it may be like this. So you may extrapolate, you can think further. Then why it is failure, why it is successful. And such predictions are very much necessary in the discussion. Then comes, I think I need another 10 minutes, I will complete it. Okay? Are you unhappy? Because I don't want to extend. Summary, conclusions and outlook. See the terms. Summary is different. Conclusion is different. Outlook is different. All of them are different, not same. Okay? Summary, if you want, see, you have written everything, you have to write the summary. Summary, don't repeat the abstract. You have already written the abstract. So there you have put some points. But you cannot repeat in the summary. That is not summary. Abstract is not summary. Summary is not abstract. Therefore, you have to think very wisely what is meant by summary. You are going to summarize. So such and such aspect has been worked out, and so it has like that summary. You are going to summarize in nutshell, in 2 or 3. Sometimes it may be slight repetition will be there. I don't say no. But please remember, summary is not conclusion, conclusion is not outlook. Outlook is not conclusion, outlook is not summary. Outlook is not abstract. So summary, do not repeat the abstract. Conclusions are not abstract or summary. And then outlook means it is futurology. What next? See, every research is going to end up with question mark and exclamatory mark. So why I have done this experiment and ultimately I got this result. I have done the analysis, it has been. So something has been worked here in Dakshina Kannada and Gulbarga, it is totally different. Same work has been carried out with taking so many samples of some students like that. So Gulbarga students and Mangalore students. So Dakshina Kannada, the difference is there. Why it is so? Like that, outlook and futurology. So why that is different? Because, see, professor was telling whether they are from agrarian background, whether, see, yesterday there was discussion. I think professor, the person who has given the keynote address has given very interesting point. So that is the Navodaya schools have been started with helping the poor or agrarian background, but it is only 10% or 18% is otherwise no, like that. So the hypothesis, the visual outlook And what next? Next is very, very important. Every research is going to end up with question mark and exclamatory mark. So why it is question mark and why it is exclamatory mark? And what are you going to predict out of this? Like, so you have some prediction. So whatever the hypothesis is wrong, most likely it is another hypothesis. It may leads to another hypothesis, or we may have to modify this hypothesis. But you cannot test that hypothesis at that moment. Somebody else will test that hypothesis. Like that. What questions arise from your study? And then end up with questions and doubts or doubts. So this is the doubt. So it can be, probably it is like this, like that. Most likely, any solutions? Can you give any solutions? Or is it possible to modify the methodology, like that? How to proceed? So these are all in the summary, conclusion and outlook, like that. I think it is going to give you some idea. So then comes acknowledgement. So you have to acknowledge the funding agency. See, what happens, many occasions we are getting funds from the funding agency. So our paper we do not acknowledge at all. The money has come from DST, money has come from UGC, money has come from Mangalore University. You have to acknowledge it. So if you do not acknowledge, you will see the repercussions in the NAC meetings. What happened? Many papers are published without acknowledging the DST, UGC or whatever funding agency. So if you are not acknowledging, the UGC and the DST people will not give any money for you for further projects, because you have given a project for this work, you are not acknowledging the funding agency. But why should we give money if you are not acknowledging the funding agency? That is the question. So therefore, that is first priority. Funding agency should be acknowledged first. Then institution. So Mangalore University is something like my mother, second mother. So ದೇವರು ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಬರೀಬೇಕು. ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್, ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ. ಸೊ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ಇದೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ, ಆರ್ ಗಾಮಾ ರೇಡಿಯೇಷನ್ ಇದೆ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಬೀಮ್ ರೇಡಿಯೇಷನ್, ಅದನ್ನು ಬರೀಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಬರೀದೇ ಹೋದರೆ ತಪ್ಪಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯು ಫಾಲೋ ದಿಸ್? ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಟೇಬಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಚೇರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲ, ಚೇರ್ಮನ್ ಇದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ನಾನು ಹುಡುಗರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರ್ತೇನೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರ್ತೇನೆ ಕ್ಯಾಶುವಲ್ ಆಗಿ, ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಯಾರಿಟಿನ ಮರ್ತು ಬಿಡಬೇಕು, ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಈಗ ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಆದರೆ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿಷಯ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಕ್ಲಾಶ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಆದರೆ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಫಾರ್ ದ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅವರ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ, ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಯುನೈಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಬಂದಾಗ, ಮ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಗೋಸ್. ಸೊ ವಿ ಮೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್, ಬಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಥಿಂಕ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್. ಸೊ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ಸ್ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಯಾರೋ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಡಿ. ನೀವೇನೋ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಅಕ್ನಾಲೆಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡೋದಲ್ಲ. ಸಿ, ಸಮ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಯು ಇನ್ ದ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್, ಇನ್ ದ ಲ್ಯಾಬೊರೇಟರಿ ವರ್ಕ್. ಸಮ್ ಐಡಿಯಾಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗಿವನ್. ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಇವರು ಏನೋ ನಾವು ಹೀಗೆ ಆಫ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡುವಾಗ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್, ಅವರು ಇಂಥದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಅಂಥವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮೆನೂವರಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟ್, ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಮೆನೂವರ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಗ ನೀವು ಯಾರೋ ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟ್ ನನಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಚಿದಾನಂದ್, ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ಈ ಥರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಫ್ಲಾ ಇದೆ, ಇದನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಮಾಡಿ, ಇದು ಬೆಟರು, ಇದು ಅಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವರು ಶ್ರೀಧರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇದು ಅಂತಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ ಮೈ ಕೊಲೀಗ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರೀತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನ ಹೆಸರನ್ನು ಬರೀಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. Acknowledgement is not a paper, acknowledgement is not an abstract, it is not a summary. So please see that what is relevance give. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಅಂತ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬಾಯ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್, ಗರ್ಲ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ದೆನ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸಸ್. ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೈಟ್? ಈಗ ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ನಾನು ಏನು ಒಂದೊಂದು ಸರ್ತಿ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ನಾವು ಒಂದು 100 ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಪೇಪರ್. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರೆಲೆವೆಂಟ್? ವಿಚ್ ರೆಲೆವೆಂಟ್ ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸಸ್? How many can some of them will put rider? Only 30 reference, 50 reference, 100 reference. If it is a review, 100 references allowed, like that. So each journal will have specifications. How many we can use and what relevance it has. You cannot put all the papers like. See, many references, whatever, no, it is my experience. Many research papers have appeared in predatory journals. I hope you can understand what is predatory journal. So predatory journals are, so if it is very good information is available in predatory journal, It is nothing wrong in quoting it. Although it is a good work, but journal is predatory. Like that. You cannot quote all papers from the predatory journal. So therefore, you should be, see, if you have some 10, 20 papers in predatory journals, you may quote one or two, not more than. According to me, 1% can be quoted. Like that. Style and you can think of end note. Reference ಯಾರು ಮಾರಾಯ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಟೈಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲದು ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಅಂತಾರೆ, ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಅಂತಾರೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಎಟಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತಾರೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬ್ರಾಕೆಟಲ್ಲಿ ಇಯರ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಅಂತಾರೆ. So these are all problems. So end note can be used. But even though if you use end note, you have problem. End note, if you give a particular precise thing to the end note and format your references by using end note, sometimes it will have problem. Therefore, Nodi, this computer is a fool. I cannot 100% rely on this computer. So, ನೀವು ಏನು ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತಷ್ಟೇ. It is a servant. And from the servant we have to get the work done and we have to interpret it. That is your wiseness. So, you cannot, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕುಂಕುಮ ಹಚ್ಚಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡಿ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡೋದು not necessary. Because it is programmed and it is going to work based on the program. ಒಂದು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ವೈರಸ್ ಬಂತಂದರೆ ಇದು ಮುಗೀತು ಕತೆ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಇದರ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ ಹೊಟ್ಟೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ವೈರಸ್. ಬಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ಟು ಯುವರ್ ಹಾರ್ಡ್? ಯುವರ್ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಎಟರ್ನಲ್. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಬೈ ಮೆಮೊರಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಅದರದ್ದು ಕಡಿಮೆ, ನಮ್ಮದು ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ. ಸೊ ಯು ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಬಿಲೀವ್ ಯುವರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್ ಯೂಸ್ಫುಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯು ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್, ಬಟ್ ಡೋಂಟ್ ರಿಲೇ ಟೋಟಲಿ ಆನ್ ದಟ್. ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಫೂಲಿಶ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತದೆ ಅದು. ಒಂದು ಏನೋ ಸ್ಪೆಲ್ ಚೆಕ್ ಏನೋ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನೋ ಬೇರೆಯೇ ಸ್ಪೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಬರೆದ್ಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೇನು ಗೊತ್ತು? ಈಗ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅದು ಸ್ಪೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಡಾಯ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು. ಡಾಯ್ ನಂಬರ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಬೈ ದಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸಮ್ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ಸ್ ವೇರ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಪುಟ್ ದಿ ಡಾಯ್ ನಂಬರ್, ಡಿಜಿಟಲ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸ್ ನಂಬರ್. ದೆನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್, article, chapter, book and report. So each one have a different pattern of presentation, not same. Okay, revisions. ಈಗ ರಿವ್ಯೂವರ್ಸ್, ಈಗ ರಿವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ರಿವ್ಯೂವರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಗ ಚಿದಾನಂದ್ ಅವರ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಬರೆದ್ರು, ನನಗೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಎಜುಕೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ, ಡೆಫಿನೆಟಾಗಿ ನನಗೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಚಿದಾನಂದ್ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದು ನನಗೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ದಟ್ ಚಿದಾನಂದ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ರಿಟನ್ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕಮ್ ಟು ಮೀ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಎ ರಿವ್ಯೂವರ್. But I am going to review that and I will suggest. So this is not worth because of these reasons. Another, it goes to another person, right like that. So ultimately, editor is going to take the decision. Reviewers are there, or the revisions are feasible. Some review, I have written review for Chidanand and he is not going to accept what revisions I have suggested. He has a different idea. That's what necessary. See, when review opinion has come, you need not necessarily to accept 100%. You have your own, see, you have written that sentence with a particular notion. That notion has not been understood by the reviewer. Reviewer ಅಂದರೆ ದೇವರವರು, ಅವರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆಯಾ? ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸರ್ವಜ್ಞಾನ ಎಲ್ಲ. ಅವರು ನಮಗೆ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ನೀವು ಅಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ 10 points ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್, 2 points ಯು ಮೇ ರೆಫ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇಟ್, ಯು ಮೇ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯೂ ಇಟ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಹೇಳುವಂಥ ನಿಮಗೆ ಫ್ರೀಡಮ್ ಇದೆ. ಫ್ರೀಡಮ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್. ಆರ್ ದ ರಿವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಫೀಸಿಬಲ್. Modifications, whether you accept modifications. So 5 modifications are suggested. I am going to fulfill 4 modifications. 1 modification I cannot accept it because it is not correct. In my opinion it is correct. Like that. Then reply to comments. You have to write reply to comments point by point. See, don't write, yes, it has been modified, yes. It is not like that. See, but because your paper has to be published, you cannot write all the comments, modified, okay, correct, fine. Not like that. But whatever good comments they have made, you have to compliment them. Whatever wrong compliments, you have to argue. There is scope for that. Reply to comments. Repeated editorial queries. Repeated editorial queries we are getting. So to publish a good paper, you will have at least 3-4 times you will have editorial queries. And have patience. Patience illadiddre, unless you have patience, you cannot do anything. You have to see. Sometimes I tell my students and some colleagues, see, you write an article and evaluate that article that you have not written, somebody else has written. It is my article, but I have to see that article, read that article, that I have not written that. It is humanly impossible. Again, ನಾವೇ ಬರೆದಿರ್ತೇವೆ, ಭಾಳ ಕಷ್ಟ. ಆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗೋದು ತುಂಬ ಕಷ್ಟ. ಅಂದರೆ whatever article we have written by ourselves and evaluate that paper thinking that it is somebody else, it is not yours. Like ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಪೇಪರ್ನ ಚಿದಾನಂದ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬೋದು, ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಪೇಪರ್ ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಆದರೆ ನನ್ನ ಪೇಪರ್ನೇ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಲ್ಲ ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದ ಅಂದಾಗ ಆಗ ನಿಮಗೆ ರಿಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಬರೀಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಓಕೆ, ದಿಸ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಬೋಗಸ್, ನಾಟ್ ನೆಸರಿ, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ನೆಸರಿ, ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ not all those things will come into picture. So that's what reviewers will do. Okay, next one, I don't know what I have. Hopefully it will be, I am thinking that it is going to end up, it is not ending up. Proofreading. So how to, if you have an article, here it has been accepted, you are getting the proof. And what are the tools to evaluate the proof? ಮುಂಚೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಪೇಪರು ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಅದು ಕಳಿಸ್ತವ್ರು, ಪೋಸ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಿತ್ತು ನಮಗೆ ಪ್ರೂಫು, ಅದನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ರೆಡ್ ಪೆನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಕರೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಈಗ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಕಾಪಿ. ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ದಿ ಫೈನಲ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್, ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಕಾಪಿ. So I am not using any paper. By that we are saving lot of trees by not using paper. Okay, the tools are there. So online corrections. So now corrections, they used to send. Now they send the soft copy. Soft copy has to be corrected. How do you correct it? ನೀವು ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಳಿಸ್ತೀರಾ? ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಒನ್ ವೇ. ಅನದರ್ ವೇ ಈಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಫಾಕ್ಸಿಟ್ ರೀಡರ್. ಫಾಕ್ಸಿಟ್ ರೀಡರ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಬಲೂನ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಕ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡೂ ದಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಟರ್ನೇಟ್ ವರ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಲೈಕ್. ಬಟ್ ಟೂ ಮಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಇದನ್ನು ಹಾಕೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮ್ ಕ್ವೈರೀಸ್, ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ 1 to 20, 1 to 10 like that. For that you have to answer. So you cannot modify it. It has come to proof stage. Then print and manually correct. So that's what I mentioned like that. So ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಯಿತು, ಪಬ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಬಂತು. It is a published article. I am giving a bird's eye view of this one. Publication, published article, patents ಬಂತು. ಪೇಟೆಂಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಬೋರ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿ, ನೀವು ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕದು. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದು. ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್, ಜರ್ನಲ್ ಆರ್ ಆಥರ್. ಓಕೆ, ದೆನ್ ಗೂಗಲ್ ಸ್ಕಾಲರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದು. ಯು ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಯು ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್, ಆಟೋಮ್ಯಾಟಿಕಲಿ ಗೂಗಲ್ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ will take it. You need not necessary to put it, but manually also there is scope for you to put it. By that it will be disseminated. Oh, Mangalore University has done this much work. Oh, Bangalore University has done this much work. Oh, this person is have done ಅಂತಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಈಗ KR ಶ್ರೀಧರ್ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲ. KR ಶ್ರೀಧರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಗೂಗಲ್ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಗೇಟ್, ವೆಬ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್, and Scopus index journals. That's where I mentioned you the predatory journals and Scopus index journals. Scopus index journals are authentic journals, not predatory journals. ದುಡ್ಡು ತಗೊಂಡು ಹಣ ತಗೊಂಡು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಈಗ some of the journals are going to demand money also, but they have some standards. Scopus index, because they have good index, H index, or good citation index like. So journal impact factor is more. So I have published one paper in Nature Geoscience. It has 14 impact factor 14. And I have published another paper in some another journal, collaboration, international collaboration. It is 5 impact. Another paper in science, that is something like 11 impact factor. Like that varies. So I have also published some papers in journals without impact factor. No problem. I don't mind. Because let it go to, see, when you have some idea, so the ವಿವೇಕಾನಂದ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ತಾನೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಐಡಿಯಾಗಳು ಡಿಸಿಪೇಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಂತ, ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು. ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲೇ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದೀಸ್ ಡೇಸ್ ಐ ಮೈ ಡೈ. ಸೊ ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಮೈ, ನನ್ನ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ನ ಯಾರು ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಲು ಯಾರು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಸಮ್ವೇರ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಟ್, ಸಮ್ವೇರ್ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಡಿಸಿಪೇಟೆಡ್ ಆರ್ ಡಿಸಿಮಿನೇಟೆಡ್, and somebody else will use in a different context. ನಿಮ್ಮ hypothesis ಬೇರೆ, ಅವರ hypothesis ಬೇರೆ. They use your material in a different way, and they for the benefit of society, like that. So, impact factor, citations, H index. H index ಅಂದರೆ ಈಗ ಚಿದಾನಂದ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಎಷ್ಟು H index, ನಂದೆಷ್ಟು H index, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರದ್ದೇನೋ H index. ಹಾಗೆ it is giving a sort of comparison with regard to the contributions what you have made. It is a measure of your contributions. H index is a measure of your contributions. So that's how one can evaluate. So then acknowledgement, now it is not the paper acknowledgement, I am acknowledging. I am thankful to Mangalore University and also Department of Bioscience to cater me, and also non-teaching faculty helped me a lot, my collaborators and my students and the organizers of this workshop. Sivanand and his team has done a lot. Conducting a 6-day workshop is not a joke, but they have done it. So thank you very much. And if you have any brief questions, you are welcome. So I gave a sort of a bird's eye view of how to draft an article, starting from title to the publication. Only problem with me is I am not a commerce man, I am not a humanities person. So therefore there may be some flaw. But overall ideas may be suitable or maybe okay. Like that. Because many times people will say that we are depending on secondary data. So you are using a secondary data, what is there you are going to do? See, secondary data, data is there. So the authenticity of the data is also important, and how you are going to treat that data for benefit of the society is also very important. So first thing is the data is available, whether it is authentic or not. Second point is how do you use the data for developing hypothesis, or what type of data you should collect for future purpose, like that. Therefore, so no work is useless, everything is useful. It all depends on our interest to do that. So maybe one or two quick questions can be, because I want to get feedback from Dr. Chidanand.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sir, can we publish the same paper with one or more publications?
No, you cannot publish. So if you publish one paper, that is the end of it. You cannot publish again. But you have possibility to publish a note of that. A gist of that paper can be published in a popular journal or whatever, like that. For example, in Nature, what they do, they publish a big article of 5 or 6 pages, like that. But the gist of that will be given in the initial part, same authors. So they are going to give a gist like that. So summarize in a very precise manner for quick reference, like that. ಅದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದನ್ನೇ ಟೋಟೋ ಆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ verbatim you cannot publish elsewhere again. But some journals are going to say, you are going to, when you are subjecting your article for publication, they are asking question. So is it already published? No. Published work, and you cannot publish, send the same article to different journals. ಕೆಲವರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಯಾವುದೊಳಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಸ್ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ ಅಂತ. ಅದು ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರೈಟ್ ಎನ್ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್, ಚೂಸ್ ದಿ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್. ಅಗೈನ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಈಗ ನನ್ನ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಯಾವ ಜರ್ನಲಲ್ಲಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಸೂಟಬಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು.
So then which publication is better? About which publications are better for publish the papers, sir?
ಈಗ ನೀವು ಆಸ್ ಎ PhD ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್, ಯು ಥಿಂಕ್ ಆಫ್ some journals, they are moderate journals, not very high, not too low, not predatory, moderate journal. For example, it may be around 30% or 40%. Anta journal publish ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. To start with, see, I also published some of the papers in my early career in an ordinary journal. Subsequently, I wanted to improve my ideas and put into, ನೀವು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇದೆ. See, some students will be given a mandate that you should publish in Scopus indexed journal. But Mangalore University, fortunately, they have no such things. But if you go to Yenapaya University here, the sister university here. So they have mandatory for every research scholar, before submission of his particular thesis, he should have published 2 papers in Scopus Index journal, not review article, not book chapter, not Scopus Index, 2 articles published in Scopus Index journal. Mangalore University, we are fortunate that Mangalore University have not such writer. So therefore, you publish in moderate journal, good journals. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೈಬ್ರರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದರೆ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದರೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತದೆ, ಬೇಕಾದಷ್ಟು ಜರ್ನಲ್ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್.
Sir, what is impact factor and how it can be calculated, sir?
See, the impact factor of a particular journal will be decided. For example, some journal you take, some X journal. So that journal is publishing from so many years, from 10 or 15 years. So what they do is, in a particular year, how many articles they have published and how many articles have been cited by people. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಜರ್ನಲ್ ನಡೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಸಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಜರ್ನಲ್. ಸೊ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ಡ್ 220 papers in a year. Out of these 220 papers, these papers have been quoted by people many times, 1000 times, 10,000 times, 500 times, like that. Based on that statistics, how many times your articles of your journal is quoted, that is going to decide the impact factor of the journal. More citations of the articles from the journal, more impact factor will be there, like that. Okay, nature has very high, I think maybe 15, 16, like 30, some of them will have 30. Under nature there are so many subdivisions, but some of them is okay. As I mentioned, nature geoscience has 15 index, some of them are 30, 35, like that. Publication is difficult in such things, but one can attempt. So see, sitting in Panaji, you can knock the door of your success in USA or Canada or some other place or Hungary or Europe. It is not impossible thing. It is possible, provided if you have hypothesis and ideas and writing skill and evaluation, self-evaluation. ನಾನು ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಮೈ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಬೆಟರ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ ದಿಸ್, ಮೈ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಫರ್ದರ್ ಬೆಟರ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ ದಿಸ್, ಮೈ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಶುಡ್ ಗೋ ಟು ದಿಸ್ ಜರ್ನಲ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ, ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಝೀಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎಂಥೂಸಿಯಾಸಮ್. ನನಗೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಐ ಆಮ್ 70 years, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಟು ಫೀಲ್ಡ್. ನಮ್ಮ ಕೊಲೀಗ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಯಾರೊಬ್ಬರು ನಮ್ಮ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋರು, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸಾರಿ ಟುಮಾರೋ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ, ಸರ್ ನೀವು ಫೀಲ್ಡಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ, ನೀವು ಹೋಗಿ ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ. ಅಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಫೀಲ್ಡಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ? ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಐ ಮೇ ಗೋ ಅಲೋನ್, ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಐ ಮೇ ಗೋ ವಿತ್ ಮೈ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್, ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಮೇ ಗೋ ವಿತ್ ಮೈ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್, ಸಿ, ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅದನ್ನು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ಹೌ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್ ನೆಸೆಸರಿ ಟು ಕಮ್ ಔಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಗುಡ್ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್. ಈಗ ನಾನೇನಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಡಿನರಿ ವರ್ಕ್ 1978 ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ದಟ್ ಆರ್ಡಿನರಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮೇಡ್ ಮೀ ಟು ಗೋ ಅಬ್ರಾಡ್ 13 times. ವೆರಿ ಆರ್ಡಿನರಿ ವರ್ಕ್, ನಾಟ್ ವೆರಿ, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಬಯೋಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆರ್ಡಿನರಿ ವರ್ಕ್, ಬಟ್ ದಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಡ್ ಮೀ ಟು ಗೋ 13 times ಅಬ್ರಾಡ್. 6 times to Germany, 1 time to Portugal, 5 times to Canada. 2 ಸರ್ತಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾನು ಬೇರೆದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಐ ವೆಂಟ್ ಟು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಾಕ್, ಅನದರ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಐ ವೆಂಟ್ ಟು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಮಾರ್, ಬರ್ಮಾ, ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ. 2, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಮೈ ವರ್ಕ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಹಿಯರ್, ಮೈ ಥೀಸಿಸ್ ವರ್ಕ್. ಥೀಸಿಸ್ ವರ್ಕೇ ನನಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. I have 5 collaborations with different countries. ನಾನು ಬುಧವಾರ ಗುರುವಾರ we have to go for a field trip to Karinja to collect some samples with my students, like that. So it all depends on how you think and how you materialize your interest. If you have interest, you can do it. If you have no interest, you cannot do it. That's all. Any other? Yeah.
Actually, it's not a doubt. I just wanted to know more about, you were talking about the patentable research and all.
Which one?
Patentable. Patent.
Okay, okay.
Patent and norms you were telling.
Patent.
Ah.
Yes, yes.
Can
Okay.
you just
See,
something?
with regard to patents are concerned. So patent, if your work is patentable, that means there are three important things. It should be novel, it should be unique. Unique and novel, what is the difference? And it is not published elsewhere. Like that, something, there are some, so patenting itself a particular, patent cells are there. Bangalore University. You consult them. So, it should be novel and it should be useful for society. So, these are all some guidance they are giving. So, based on that, patent can be, then we can apply for patent. So, you can apply for patent, Indian patent, you can apply for US patent. See, I think I have developed something, I have developed, so some material. So, let us assume that this is the material I have developed. This is a new one. It is an innovative one. It is very useful. So, this material, how to produce this material, that is a method. Or method of producing this material is very good and it is very useful. What is the method of producing this material? The methodology can be patented. Secondly, the product is very useful. So, product can be patented. But sometimes what they do, the product, that anybody can use it, no problem, these are all usefulness, they disclose it. But methodology they will not disclose. So, that is the difference between a company, an industry and an academic institution. The academic institution, nowadays they are also patenting, academic institution. But a company or an industry, they are not ready to give this material to others because this is fetching lot of exchequer, lot of money they are getting. Therefore, they are keeping it a secret. That's why they are patenting it. So, it is patentable. Let us assume that Professor Chidanand is interested to use this material and he has to give me, to the industry he has to pay so much of money and get this material and use it. Or methodology, he can buy the methodology from the industry for production, he can produce on his own and he can use it like that. So, that is the...
Sir, if in paper you were giving some structure, so where we have to add all the our findings, our process, the methodology used and all. So, if at all it is process we are patenting, so whether any journals will be publishing our paper because we are not giving the methodology, right?
No, see, if it is a patentable work, you need not necessarily, you don't publish it. Publish it means you have to, see, for example, thesis, in one of my students' thesis, what I did. So, that is a process patent. No, I have not got the patent, I have not applied even, but I tell you. So, that is a process. We have made the process, but we got the result. What I did was, everything, chapter has been written there, but I have not given the process. Even today, I have not disclosed the process, it is with me. But product is better compared to other products. That I have disclosed. But process, since I am interested in process patent, I have not disclosed. I have to disclose the patent cell. Probably I may be successful. I am not very sure. But like that. So, if you publish it, it is, people are going to use it like that. It is already published. So, patents will not be they publish the patents. These are all the things, patent number, everything they give, they publish the novelty, all those things they publish it. But not exactly the procedure they will not give. That is hidden. It is not available. So, the patent, you will get the patent you can use it as a paper, but not exactly the methodology or the product, like that, depending on the situation. So, if it is a methodology, they will not give it. And if it is product they will not give, like that. So, it is thinking, please think, because a lot of students do wonderful work, but we should coax them to patent it like that. So, go for a patent, why can't you do this like that? So, it all depends on what type of work you carry out and how important it is to the society. So, if there are no questions, thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for enriching our knowledge regarding basic approaches and strategies to draft research articles. You have
Your sessions will surely remain in closely to our heart. I request Dr. Chidananda sir, Coordinator of Department of Education, to offer a token of love to Professor Sridhar. Thank you one and all.